Greyhound Route 1383, San Antonio to Dallas. Departure 02 a.m. every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. For 17 years, this route operated without incident, a mundane traverse of the mundane. On March 14, 2024, the bus departed San Antonio at precisely 02:03 a.m. 19 passengers, verified by manifest and security footage. The driver, Kenneth Marlowe, logged his departure. At 06:47 a.m., the Texas State Police found the bus. It sat, idling, perfectly parked at a Buc-ee's in Waco. The engine purred, headlights on, dashboard systems operational. Internal security cameras had recorded the entire 4-hour, 44-minute journey, time-stamped, verified. The driver, Kenneth Marlowe, sat in his seat, alone. All 19 passengers gone, vanished. Before we delve further into this chilling chronicle, this insidious unraveling of what we presume to be reality, a brief yet vital interruption. 91% of you watching these fractured tales are not subscribed. If this defies all logic, all reason, if the very air around you feels thinner, then a single click, 1 second, it costs you nothing, because what comes next makes it so much worse. Kenneth Marlowe insisted he never let anyone off the bus. But when investigators pulled the internal footage, every single passenger was visible in their seats at 06:46 a.m., a perfect, serene tableau. Then, at 06:47 a.m., when a state trooper's dash cam showed him approaching the bus, Kenneth Marlowe was alone. 1 minute. 19 people do not just evaporate in 1 minute, not in this world. This Route 1383 was never meant to be special. It was one of 47 overnight conduits Greyhound threads through Texas. A standard coach, 55 seats, 1 driver. Boarding procedures were identical to every other route: scanning tickets, assigned seats, stowing luggage. The manifest, a crisp sheet of paper, tallied human cargo. A gate attendant verified the count. Kenneth Marlowe, 52 years of age, had driven for Greyhound for 14 years. His record was pristine. He had driven Route 1383 for 6 months. His last text to his wife, Patricia, sent at 01:58 a.m., clocking in. That night, 19 passengers boarded. Sarah Chen, 29, a software engineer, settled into seat 12A. Marcus Webb, 46, a sales representative, took seat 8C. The Delgado family, Roberto, Maria, and their 7-year-old daughter, Ava, occupied seats 15A, 15B, 15C. 16 more names, 16 more faces, all accounted for. The bus pulled out at 02:03 a.m. Interior cameras showed passengers settling into their temporary cocoons. Reading lights clicked on, some closed their eyes, others scrolled through phones. Ava Delgado colored in a book. Marcus Webb opened his laptop. Normal, routine. At 02:47 a.m., the bus glided past mile marker 197 on I-35. Sarah Chen, awake in seat 12A, reviewed code on her laptop. Her eyes drifted to the window. The bus was moving at 65 miles per hour. Yet, the mile markers weren't changing. Mile marker 197. 30 seconds later, mile marker 197 again. The same unmoving number. Her laptop clock read 02:48 a.m. Again, mile marker 197. The bus was definitely moving, but the mile marker, the same one, over and over. Then 198, 199, 200. Normalcy returned, but a cold, insidious tendril of doubt had coiled itself around her heart. The world had stuttered. At 02:52 a.m., the unease spread. Marcus Webb stood from seat 8C. He walked to the front, his brow furrowed. He spoke to Kenneth, his voice low. Kenneth shook his head. Marcus pointed at his phone. Kenneth looked, then shook his head again, a gesture of quiet, unyielding denial. Marcus lingered, talking, gesturing with increasing urgency. Kenneth remained stoic, hands clamped to the wheel, eyes fixed on the highway. Even from her seat, Sarah perceived a subtle shift. Kenneth's shoulders, once relaxed, were now rigid. Marcus walked back down the aisle. He stopped at Sarah's row. "You got signal?" he asked, his voice low. Sarah checked her phone. Full bars. "Yeah." "Try calling someone." She tried her boyfriend, David. Ringing. No answer. Her sister, her mom, her coworker, all ringing. No answer. As if the world beyond the glass had ceased to exist. Marcus was calling too. Others, roused by the growing tension, began to stir. A woman in the back, Jennifer Parsons, 34, yelled, "What the hell is going on with the time?" A chorus of murmurs followed. People checked their phones. Their watches, their laptop clocks, the fragile illusion of shared reality shattered. They all showed different times. Sarah's phone, 02:54 a.m. Her laptop, 02:51 a.m. Marcus's phone, 03:07 a.m. His watch, 02:49 a.m. Jennifer's phone, 02:41 a.m. Roberto Delgado's watch, 03:15 a.m. 02:38 a.m. Every device. A different time. None matched the dashboard camera, which displayed 02:53 a.m. The bus itself clung to its own distorted timeline. A wave of panic rippled through the passengers. "Ask the driver," someone yelled. Marcus went to the front again. Others followed. Sarah heard their desperate pleas. "How long until we stop?" Kenneth didn't answer. He might as well have been a statue. "Sir, we need to pull over. Something's wrong with the time." Kenneth kept driving, eyes forward, hands locked to the wheel, not responding. Not acknowledging them, not even a twitch, an automaton of transit. Marcus, hand trembling, reached out. He touched Kenneth's shoulder. Kenneth turned his head, slowly, deliberately. He looked at Marcus. His eyes were open, wide, fixed, but he wasn't blinking, not blinking at all. They were like polished stones, reflecting nothing, seeing everything, and yet utterly, terrifyingly blank. Marcus recoiled. Hey, are you okay?" His voice, usually confident, was now thin. Kenneth turned back to the road, his head swiveling with unnatural grace, still not blinking. From her seat, Sarah saw it. His eyes didn't move, didn't track the highway, just stared straight ahead, into the abyss. His hands remained on the wheel, 10 and 2, perfectly positioned. The bus maintained its impossible, unyielding speed, exactly 65 miles per hour. Kenneth's chest rose and fell. He was breathing, but nothing else moved. No flicker of recognition. He was a shell. Jennifer Parsons, her face a mask of furious resolve, pushed past Marcus. "We need to stop the bus," she cried. She lunged for the wheel. Marcus grabbed her arm. "Don't! If he's having a stroke, we'll crash!" "He's not having anything!" Jennifer shrieked. "Look at him! He's not human!" Roberto Delgado, the father, lunged upwards, his hand grasping the emergency brake handle above the rear door. He pulled it, hard, a satisfying click. Nothing happened. The bus continued its trajectory, 65 miles per hour. Roberto pulled it again, harder. The handle moved. The bus didn't slow. Still 65 miles per hour. His daughter, Ava, was crying. Sarah, desperate for a foothold in the crumbling reality, checked her laptop. The GPS map showed their location on I-35 North, but as she zoomed in, a cold dread coiled in her stomach. The blue dot, their digital representation, was not on I-35. It was next to the highway, 50 feet west, in an empty, desolate field. The map showed the bus driving through dirt and grass at 65 miles per hour. She pulled up Google Maps on her phone, same coordinates, but on her phone, the GPS showed them squarely on the highway. She held both screens next to each other, two realities simultaneously true. Marcus tried the bus's radio system, the CB. "Hello? Dispatch, this is Route 1383. We have an emergency." Static, just static, a harsh, whispering hiss. The power light glowed green, mocking their helplessness. Marcus tried different channels. Everyone, static. A college student, Tyler Morrison, 21, from seat 7B, held up his phone. "Try recording this," he whispered. He filmed Kenneth. The phone screen showed Kenneth, hands on wheel, eyes open, not blinking. Tyler played the video back. The driver's seat was empty. Everyone saw it. A collective gasp. Tyler filmed again. On the phone screen, an empty seat. He looked up. Kenneth was there. Physical, solid, breathing. Tyler looked back at the phone. Empty seat. The world was fracturing. Jennifer filmed. Same terrifying contradiction. Empty seat on camera. Driver visible in person. She snapped a photo. The photo showed the entire front of the bus. Dashboard, windshield, steering wheel subtly turning. No hands on it. No person in the seat. Just an absence. Sarah, her breath shallow, began to count the passengers. 19, including herself. She counted again. 18. A cold knot formed. She counted a third time. 20. "How many people are on this bus?" she whispered. A wave of murmurs. People started counting. Everyone got different numbers. Marcus counted 22, Jennifer 17, Roberto 19, Tyler 24. They counted together. Marcus pointed at seat 4A. 1. Jennifer, standing next to him, looked at seat 4A. "That seat's empty." Marcus walked to seat 4A. "There's someone sitting here," he insisted. Jennifer stood next to him. "No, there isn't," she breathed. They were looking at the same seat. Seeing different things. Sharing the same space, yet inhabiting separate realities. The bus was a vessel not just through miles, but through dimensions. Sarah opened the emergency exit window next to her seat. It opened easily. She looked out. The highway was there, rushing past. Wind, cold and bracing, hit her face. She held her phone out the window, filmed the road, played it back. The video showed darkness, complete black, no road, no lights, just void. She looked out the window again with her own eyes. Highway, clearly visible, street lights, signs, mile marker 201. She filmed again. The screen showed nothing, absolute darkness. But through the window, with her eyes, she saw everything. At 03:09 a.m., Sarah's phone time, the bus passed a sign, Austin, 47 miles. 2 minutes later, they passed the same sign, Austin, 47 miles. The road was different. Different trees, different billboards, different cars. But the Austin sign, 47 miles, an eternal echo. Roberto, driven by a primal need to protect his family, tried forcing the rear door open. He kicked it, threw his shoulder against it. The door didn't move. But he could see through the door's window, the highway behind them. He pressed his hand against the glass. It was cold. He punched the glass. His fist went through it. No breaking sound. His hand just went through. He pulled his hand back, staring at it. The glass was intact. He punched again. Threw it again, pulled back, intact again. Maria screamed at the window, her eyes wide. There was a face looking in from outside. Everyone turned, looked at the rear window. Nothing there. There was someone, Maria stammered, looking in. A man with no face. Ava, the 7-year-old, wasn't crying anymore. Her eyes, unnervingly calm, were fixed on the aisle, between seats 9 and 10. "Daddy," she said, "who's that?" Roberto looked. "Empty aisle." "Who's who, baby?" "The man standing there. He's tall. He's wearing a black coat. He's looking at us." Her small finger pointed into the empty space. Tyler, his phone still recording, filmed the aisle. On his screen, an empty aisle. He looked up. Still empty. "There's nobody there, kid," he said. "He's right there." Ava's voice was utterly devoid of doubt. "He's looking at you now." At 3:23 a.m., Sarah's phone time, Marcus tried to physically stop the bus. He grabbed Kenneth's arms, tried to pull them off the wheel. Kenneth's hands didn't move. They were fused. Marcus pulled harder. Nothing. Kenneth didn't resist, didn't react, just kept driving, eyes open, not blinking. Jennifer tried to turn the key in the ignition. It wouldn't turn, wouldn't move. She tried turning the wheel. It was locked. Sarah pulled up her email, typed a message to David. "Something's wrong. Greyhound SA to Dallas. Route 1383. Bus won't stop. Driver won't respond. Time is wrong. Call police. Send help. I love you." She hit send. Sent appeared. Timestamp March 14th, 2024, 02:17 a.m. That was 40 minutes ago. She'd sent the email in the future, but it was timestamped in the past, and it was just now sending. Others tried texts, emails, everything. Sent, everything timestamped wrong. Tyler's text showed a date of March 19th, 2024, 5 days from now. At 03:31 a.m., the bus passed through Austin. No, the bus passed under Austin. She saw the city lights above them, through the windshield, a shimmering, impossible panorama. The buildings, the towers, the familiar highway overpasses, all of it was above the bus, upside down, like they were driving on the ceiling of the world. Cars on the overpasses, driving normally. She looked at the other passengers. No one else was reacting. "Do you see that?" She whispered to Marcus. "See what?" he replied. She pointed up. "Austin, it's above us, the whole city." Marcus looked up, then back at her. "There's nothing above us." His words were a fresh stab of profound, horrifying isolation. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it was gone. Empty darkness again. At 03:44 a.m., Kenneth blinked. A ripple of stunned silence. His eyes closed, opened. He blinked 3 more times. Normal, human. He turned his head slightly, adjusted his grip on the wheel, checked the mirrors. Normal driver behavior, as if the last hour had never happened. Marcus, hesitant, stepped forward. "Kenneth? Can you hear me?" Kenneth glanced at him, a spark of ordinary annoyance. "Yeah? What's up? Do you know what's been happening?" "What do you mean?" Kenneth's confusion was utterly genuine. "You weren't responding for the last hour." "We've been trying to get your attention." "I've been driving." Kenneth looked confused. "What's the problem?" "What time is it?" Jennifer asked. Kenneth looked at the dashboard clock. 3:44 a.m. "Check your phone." Kenneth pulled out his phone. 3:44 a.m. Everyone checked their devices. All of them now showed 03:44 a.m. All synchronized, all matching, all correct. A chilling, impossible reset. Sarah looked at her GPS. The blue dot was on I-35, exactly where it should be. Google Maps matched her laptop's map. Normal. She looked out the window. Mile marker 267, then 268, then 269. Sequential, correct. The world had stitched itself back together. Tyler filmed Kenneth. Kenneth appeared on camera, sitting in his seat, blinking, normal. Roberto checked the emergency brake. It resisted. The glass of the rear door was solid. The rear window showed highway behind them. No faces. Ava was bent over her coloring book. "Kenneth," Marcus said carefully, "do you remember the last hour?" "Of course. I've been driving." "Do you remember us talking to you?" "When?" Kenneth's gaze was direct. "In the last hour." "We were standing here, talking to you. You wouldn't respond." Kenneth looked at him, then at the other pale, shaken faces, his brow furrowed with genuine confusion. "Nobody's talked to me since we left San Antonio. You're the first person to come up here." "That's not—" Marcus stopped. Looked at the others. They'd all been here, all seen it. He looked back at Kenneth. The man's eyes were clear, his face a picture of normal bewilderment. "Did something happen?" Kenneth asked, a genuine note of concern. Nobody answered. The bus arrived in Dallas at 06:46 a.m., on time. Kenneth pulled into the Buc-ee's in Waco for the scheduled rest stop. He parked the bus, turned off the engine. The sudden silence was profound. He opened the door. 20-minute stop, folks. Restrooms inside." Nobody moved. They sat, frozen. Kenneth looked at him. "Everything okay?" Sarah started to stand. Her gaze swept down the aisle. 18 people. A fresh wave of icy terror. She counted again. 17. "Hey," she said, "count yourselves, right now, count." People began to count. Marcus counted 15, Jennifer 16, Roberto 19, Tyler 12. The numbers danced. Kenneth, with a sigh of weary exasperation, stood up, walked down the aisle, counted silently. 18 passengers, he announced. "The manifest says 19, Marcus said. Kenneth pulled the manifest, counted the names. 19 names, 18 people. He looked up, puzzled. "Who's missing?" Jennifer asked. They went through the names. Sarah Chen, present. Marcus Webb, present. The Delgado family, all present. Tyler Morrison, present. Every single person on the manifest was sitting on the bus, all present, all accounted for, yet they were not. They counted again. 16 people, then 17, then 20, then 15. Nobody got the same count twice. At 06:47 a.m., Texas State Trooper Daniel Voss pulled into the Buc-ee's. His dash cam recorded him approaching the Greyhound bus. He knocked on the door. No response. He peered through the windshield. Kenneth Marlowe was sitting in his seat, alone. The bus was empty. He knocked again. "Sir, you okay?" Kenneth Marlowe turned his head, looked at him, blinked, confused. "You need help?" Trooper Voss asked. Kenneth opened the door. "No, I'm fine." "Just stopped for a rest break." He stepped out, stretching. "Where are your passengers?" Kenneth looked behind him into the empty interior. There, he stopped, stared at the empty bus, a dawning horror creeping into his eyes. They were just here. Texas State Police arrived within 12 minutes. Sergeant Lisa Martinez arrived. Kenneth, still in a daze, stood outside. "How many passengers did you have?" Martinez asked. 19. Kenneth held up the manifest. "They all boarded. They were here 10 minutes ago." He pointed at the empty seats. Martinez boarded the bus. Empty. She checked the bathroom. Empty. She checked the luggage compartment. 19 bags. Tags attached. Names on the tags matched the manifest. All 19 names. The luggage was there. The passengers were gone. Martinez called in CID. The FBI was contacted at 09:15 a.m. Special Agent Raymond Cole, a digital forensic specialist, arrived. Special Agent Nina Patel, an expert in behavioral analysis, began her assessments. They pulled Kenneth's phone records, his GPS data, the telematics system of the bus. The internal security footage was pulled, 4 cameras inside. The footage showed Kenneth leaving San Antonio at 02:03 a.m., showed 19 passengers in their seats, showed the journey mile by mile, hour by hour. At 06:46 a.m., the footage depicted Kenneth pulling into the Buc-ee's. Showed all 19 passengers, every single one visible, sitting in their seats. Sarah Chen in 12A, Marcus Webb in 8C, the Delgado family in row 15, all of them sitting there, present. At 06:47 a.m., the internal footage showed Kenneth standing up, walking down the aisle. The passengers were still there. He walked to the back, checked something unseen, walked to the front, sat back down. The passengers were still there, present, solid, real. The timestamp rolled to 06:48 a.m. The seats were empty. Not gradually, not people standing and leaving. Not a single door opening. One frame, 19 passengers. Next frame, 0 passengers. An instantaneous, impossible transition. Investigators played it back, frame by agonizing frame. At 06:47:59, 19 people. At 06:48:0, 0 people. Just gone. Expunged. Erased. Trooper Voss's dashcam footage, recording from outside, showed the moment he approached the bus at 06:47 a.m. His camera showed Kenneth sitting in the driver's seat, alone. The bus behind him, a hollow shell. But the internal camera, recording at the exact same timestamp, showed 19 passengers. 2 realities, undeniably, simultaneously true. Both cameras were verified as functioning correctly. Both timestamps were accurate, synchronized to the nanosecond. Both pieces of footage were authentic. No digital manipulation. 2 cameras, same moment, completely different recordings of an immutable truth. Kenneth's phone GPS showed his location updating every 30 seconds, but every update between 02:47 a.m. and 03:44 a.m. showed him at mile marker 197. For 57 minutes, his phone said the bus didn't move. But the bus's own GPS system showed normal, uninterrupted movement. No stops, no delays. Arrived at Waco precisely on schedule. 2 GPS systems, same bus, same time period, completely contradictory data. The passengers' phones were found in their luggage, powered on. Sarah Chen's phone showed she sent an email at 03:23 a.m. It was in her sent folder, time-stamped 02:17 a.m. The email server logs confirmed it was received at 03:23 a.m. Sent from the future, time-stamped in the past, received in between. Marcus Webb's phone had an unsent text draft addressed to his wife, time-stamped March 19, 2024. Tyler Morrison's phone had 47 photos taken between 02:50 a.m. and 03:40 a.m. In every photo, the driver's seat was empty. Kenneth was missing. But Kenneth's personal phone, retrieved from his pocket, had selfies from the same time showing him in the driver's seat. Normal. The background showed the empty bus behind him. No passengers visible. 2 more realities, colliding, merging, erasing. Agent Patel interviewed Kenneth. Full psychological evaluation. No signs of delusion or psychosis. No drugs, no alcohol. He was a normal man, deeply shaken. He remembered the entire trip, remembered the passengers being there. He could not explain their disappearance. Did anything unusual happen? Patel asked. No, normal trip. Quiet. Did any passengers talk to you? No, nobody came up front. Did you notice anything strange about the time? Kenneth paused. The clock seemed slow, like time was taking longer, but I thought I was just tired. Forensics examined the bus. Fingerprints, DNA, hair samples, skin cells. 19 different people, all confirmed by forensic evidence. But there was other DNA too. Seat 9D, empty on the manifest, no ticket, no passenger listed. But forensics pulled human DNA from the headrest, the armrest, the seat cushion, male, not matching any passenger, not Kenneth. A ghost. Seat 14B, also empty on the manifest. Different DNA, female, also unidentified. 4 additional seats scattered through the interior showed DNA evidence of passengers who weren't on the manifest. 23 people had been on the bus. The manifest listed 19, 4 extra passengers, no tickets, no names, no camera footage showing them boarding, but biological evidence, cold and irrefutable, confirmed they were there. On March 16, 2024, 2 days after the incident, Sarah Chen walked into FBI headquarters, confused. Disoriented, her last coherent memory working on her laptop on the Greyhound bus. Then, nothing. Then waking up in her apartment in Dallas. Her conference presentation was over. Her coworkers said she'd done great. She had no memory of giving it. Her phone showed texts she'd sent during the presentation, photos she'd taken. Security footage from the conference showed her presenting on March 14th at 10 a.m. She was in Dallas, giving a presentation at the exact same time she was on the bus experiencing the incident. 2 distinct realities occupying the same woman at the same moment. Over the next week, 16 more passengers reappeared, confused, disoriented, no memory of how they arrived at their destinations, but irrefutable evidence showing they'd reached Dallas. Marcus Webb had checked into his hotel. The Delgado family had visited the zoo. They had receipts, photos, vivid memories of Dallas, but no memory of arriving. Ava, the child, said she remembered the man in the black coat, but nothing after that. 18 passengers eventually contacted authorities. Last memory was the bus, then nothing, then arriving at their destination with no memory of the journey's end. 1 passenger never appeared. Jennifer Parsons, seat 19B, age 34, no contact, no sightings. Her luggage was on the bus. Her DNA was in seat 19B. Her phone was in her suitcase. But Jennifer Parsons hasn't been seen since boarding that cursed bus. Still missing. A ghost in the machine. The FBI pulled records. Greyhound incident reports going back 40 years. They found patterns. Route 1383, San Antonio to Dallas. 17 documented incidents of passenger discrepancies. Manifests not matching head counts. Luggage without corresponding passengers. Drivers reporting memory gaps. Every incident happened between 02 a.m. and 04 a.m. Every incident happened between mile markers 197 and 267. Every incident involved passenger counts that changed. The incidents were escalating. 1987, 1993, 1998, 2004, 2011, 2017, and now 2024. Agent Cole interviewed retired Greyhound drivers, off the record. Thomas Chen, who drove Route 1383 from 1995-2003. Everyone knows about that stretch. Time gets weird. Sometimes passengers ask. Most of the time, nothing happens. But sometimes you get to Waco and the bus feels different, lighter, and you just don't say anything. David Park, currently driving Route 1383, There's an unofficial rule. If you're driving that route and something feels wrong, you don't stop. You don't acknowledge it. You just keep driving until you reach Waco. Don't engage with it. If you stop, if you engage, it gets worse. The FBI interviewed Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a theoretical physicist at UT Austin. She was shown the evidence. Her assessment delivered with chilling academic detachment. This isn't supernatural. This is spatial-temporal distortion. Something in that region, between mile markers 197 and 267, is affecting the local space-time. Time is moving at different rates for different observers. Space is folding or overlapping. The bus is moving through two streams simultaneously. Different cameras are capturing different streams of reality. What happens to people in these thin spaces? Agent Patel asked. Dr. Mitchell paused. Theoretically, they could slip between temporal streams, disappear from one, and reappear in another. They didn't vanish. They just shifted to a different time stream. They arrived in Dallas because in their time stream, they completed the journey. But in Kenneth's time stream, they disappeared. They diverged. And Jennifer Parsons? Dr. Mitchell's gaze sharpened. If someone slips between time streams and can't find their way back, they might be stuck. Not dead, just existing in a different temporal layer, unreachable, a ghost in the fabric of existence. The FBI classified the investigation as ongoing, shrouded in secrecy. Greyhound issued a statement. Route 1383 experienced a scheduling irregularity. All passengers arrived safely. The matter has been resolved. A lie, as fragile as the air. Route 1383 still operates. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Departure, 02 a.m. The drivers know. They don't talk about it. They just drive. Route 1383, it turns out, is not unique. After March 2024, the FBI quietly investigated other Greyhound routes and other transportation networks. Amtrak's Texas Eagle, 12 documented incidents of temporal anomalies in 30 years. Southwest Airlines Flight 1247, 8 incidents of passengers arriving with no memory of the flight. I-35 itself, truckers have reported it for decades. The dead zone between mile markers 197 and 267. CB radio chatter goes quiet. GPS acts strange. Time feels wrong. In 2019, a trucker named Michael Chen disappeared on I-35. His 18-wheeler was found at mile marker 201. Engine running, cab empty. 3 weeks later, he walked into a police station in Dallas, confused. His GPS log showed his truck sitting at mile marker 201 for 3 full weeks. But the engine had only run for 6 hours. His phone showed 3 weeks passing. His watch showed 6 hours. Another impossible schism. The pattern expands. I-90 through Montana. I-80 through Nebraska. I-70 through Kansas. Long stretches of highway, usually late night, usually between 02 a.m. and 5 a.m. Reports of time feeling wrong. Drivers arriving with fuzzy, fractured memories. The geographic clusters, rural areas, vast, empty distances. Highways that cut through empty land, where the only witnesses are the silent stars. The incidents don't happen in urban areas, don't happen in daylight, don't happen when the route is crowded. They happen in the spaces between, when it's dark, when there are few witnesses, when the fabric of normal reality is thinnest. Dr. Mitchell's theory, reality needs observers to stay stable. When there's fewer people observing, fewer people experiencing time in a consistent, shared way, the temporal fabric becomes flexible, unstable, and in that instability, things slip. The FBI identified 47 temporal distortion zones across the United States, TDZs. The concerning pattern, the incidents are increasing. not just in frequency, but in intensity. In 1987, 3 passengers disappeared and reappeared. A ripple. In 2024, 19 passengers slipped between time streams. 1 hasn't returned. 4 unidentified people's DNA appeared. Reality itself contradicted between camera angles. In June 2024, 3 months after Route 1383, another, even more chilling incident occurred. Route 8714. Los Angeles to San Francisco. Departure 01:30 a.m. The bus that departed LA was Unit 4721. The bus that arrived in San Francisco was Unit 5893. They'd switched places. Instantly. A cosmic exchange. Greyhound quietly retired both buses. The passengers from Route 1338 still experience effects. Sarah Chen reports time still feels wrong. Marcus Webb has recurring dreams. The Delgado family moved from Texas. Maria said reality felt slightly out of focus. Ava still talks about the man in the black coat, still draw him. Jennifer Parsons is still missing. Dr. Mitchell's theory about Jennifer. If she's stuck in a temporal loop, she might be experiencing the same moment over and over. Or she might be moving forward through time at a different rate, forever out of sync. She could reappear tomorrow, or never. Kenneth Marlowe no longer drives Route 1383. Daytime-only routes. He told Agent Patel off the record, "I remember them, all 19 passengers. I remember them being there. But I also remember the bus being empty. Both memories are in my head. Both feel real. Both happened. I don't know how that's possible." A man haunted by a fractured truth. Greyhound hasn't canceled Route 1383. It still operates, still departs at 02 a.m. Most trips are normal. Most. The FBI won't release the full evidence, the footage showing passengers disappearing frame by frame. The DNA analysis of the 4 unidentified passengers, the technical reports on the GPS contradictions. It's all classified, sealed. Not because it's dangerous in the conventional sense, but because it doesn't make sense. How do you explain to the public that reality isn't stable? That the very ground beneath their feet, the very clock on their wall, is a fragile, mutable thing? But here's what they can't explain. How did the bus's internal camera and Trooper Voss's dash cam, 2 separate windows into the same moment, record such profoundly different things? One shows 19 passengers alive, present. One shows 0. That's not a camera malfunction. That's reality behaving differently for different observers. A fundamental fracturing of shared perception. Why did 4 people's DNA, unique, untraceable, appear on the bus when only 19 boarded? Who were they? Where did they come from? If they were there, physically there, leaving biological evidence, why didn't the camera show them? Why didn't the manifest list them? Are they echoes, bleeds from other unseen temporal streams? What did Ava see in the aisle? Man in the black coat, a silent, watchful entity that nobody else, no adult, could perceive. What if she saw someone who was there in one temporal stream but not another? What if that figure exists in the spaces between, a silent custodian of the fractures? And the biggest question, the one that whispers in the dark corners of the mind, where is Jennifer Parsons? Her DNA is on seat 19B. Her luggage is in evidence. She existed. She was there. She was a passenger. But she never arrived, never appeared in Dallas, never went home, just gone. If Dr. Mitchell's theory is right, if she's stuck in a different time stream, then she's somewhere, living through moments we can't see, unreachable but not dead, a prisoner of the impossible. But here's what keeps me up at night. If she's in a different time stream, experiencing time at a different rate, what is she experiencing? Is she still on the bus? Still in seat 19B? Still watching the mile markers repeat endlessly? Has it been 8 minutes for her? 8 hours? 8 years? An eternity? Or is she experiencing something worse? Something truly unspeakable? What if the thin space between San Antonio and Dallas isn't just a temporal distortion? What if it's a place, a real location that exists outside our normal time stream? What if people who slip through end up there, not in Dallas? Not in San Antonio, somewhere else. Somewhere that looks like the highway, feels like the bus, but isn't either. A liminal space, a purgatory of transit. What if she's been driving that same stretch of highway for 8 months, subjectively? Her mind a shattered kaleidoscope of repeating numbers and unblinking eyes. Watching the same mile markers repeat, watching the inverted city pass overhead, eternally. Trying to get off the bus that never stops. Surrounded by other passengers who slip through at different times, all of them stuck, all of them trying to find their way back. What if that's where the 4 unidentified DNA samples came from? People who slipped through years ago, still there, still leaving traces, spectral echoes, still existing in the thin space. Have you ever traveled late at night, long-haul trip, bus or car or train, between 02 and 5 a.m., through empty stretches of highway? Have you ever felt like the drive took longer than it should, or inexplicably shorter? Have you ever checked your phone and had the time feel wrong? Have you ever noticed mile markers repeating, or gaps in the sequence? Have you ever had that feeling like you blinked and lost time? Most people dismiss it, tired, zoned out. But what if you didn't dismiss it? What if you really looked? What if you checked your timestamps, your GPS logs, your photos from the trip? If you truly, desperately sought the truth? Go ahead. If you've traveled Route 11383, or any long overnight route through Texas, or any of the other 47 high-risk zones the FBI has identified, check your travel photos. Look at the metadata. Compare the timestamps to your memory. See if the time adds up. See if your reality is as solid as you believe. And if it doesn't, if you find gaps, discrepancies, moments that don't match, shadows that shouldn't be there, leave a comment. Tell me where you were, what route, what time. Because the FBI knows about 47 zones, but there might be more. There might be hundreds, and you might have already traveled through one. You might have already brushed against the veil. So if you're ever on Route 1383, departing San Antonio at 02 a.m., and you notice the mile markers aren't changing, and you check your phone and the time feels wrong, and you count the passengers and the number keeps changing, like ghosts playing a cruel game, don't panic. Don't try to stop the bus. Don't engage with whatever you see that others don't. Don't acknowledge the man in the black coat. Just sit down, stay quiet, keep your eyes forward, and wait for Waco. Because if you panic, if you try to force it, if you draw attention to the fact that reality is breaking, that the mundane world is a thin, fragile illusion, you might slip through, and you might not come back. And then you're not in Dallas. You're not in San Antonio. You're in the space between, where Jennifer Parsons is, where the man in the black coat stands, eternally watching, where time doesn't work, where the bus never stops.